Okay, welcome to Youth Engagement and Local Coalitions. We're so glad you're here. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun today, get to learn from each other and talk about what works and certainly what doesn't when engaging youth in local coalition work. My name is Lydia Fuqua. I am a prevention specialist here at DECA. I assist with substance misuse prevention efforts and initiatives across Kansas. I have about 10 years of experience with youth development and community engagement. Prior to joining DECA, I spent about 8 years as a theater educator working with young people to create and perform original plays. So that's a little bit about my background. Currently, I'm the adult sponsor, one of the adult sponsors for the Douglas County Youth Prevention Board, which is a new initiative in Douglas County. I'm an adult sponsor, one of them for Kansas Youth Connect, which is a statewide youth prevention group. I'm also the coordinator, one of the adult coordinators for the Kansas Youth Community Change Conference, and I'm certified in youth mental health first aid and teen mental health first aid as an instructor as well. So that's a little bit about my background and what brings me to youth engagement. I'd love it if you could put in the chat your role in working with youth. Are you a teacher, a youth sponsor, a school social worker, a coalition member? What brings you here and what are you hoping to learn more about today? I also wanted to introduce Dina. She's working behind the scenes here today to make this webinar happen. So thank you, Dina, for all your help. She's going to be checking out the chat and doing some polls and pulling all the strings behind the scenes. So thank you, Dina, for your help this morning. All right, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of our content today, I want to kick this off with a little bit of fun. Just like it's important to engage youth with some fun, it's important for adults to have a little fun as well. So we're going to play a game called Thumbs Up or Thumbs Down. So if you're comfortable, what I'd like you to do is turn your webcam on. I'm going to name a specific topic, and I'd love for you to give your opinion on that topic with either a thumbs up to show that you like it or a thumbs down to show that you don't. Or if you're not comfortable turning on your webcam, you can put yay or no way in the chat. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see you all. All right, so here is the first topic, musicals. Yay or no way? Musicals. Excellent. I'd love it if you have any favorites, put them in the chat. Looks like we mostly enjoy musicals. Dave's a little uncertain, and that's all right. How about sour candy? Yay or no way? This seems to be very polarizing. Folks are like, yeah, or no, heck no, heck no. All right, how about, and this I know is going to be a touchy subject, particularly today, but snow. Yay or no way? I'm actually seeing more thumbs up than I thought I would for that particular topic. I'm with you. I like the snow, but man, this year I'm about at my limit with it. How about scary movies? Yay or no way? Some folks in the middle, a couple thumbs down, lots of thumbs up though. How about snakes? Snakes. Ooh, some thumbs up for sure. We have some reptile lovers in the house. What about going to the pool? Nice to think about when it's this cold, right? Warmer days are ahead. Excellent, excellent. I'm seeing some thumbs up. How about breakfast for dinner? Breakfast for dinner. Ooh, I'm surprised to see as many thumbs down as I do. Who knew it was such a hot topic? All right, how about 3-day weekends? 3-day weekends. I don't think I see any thumbs down on this one, and I'm with you. Yeah, lots of fun things happening in the chat too. Okay, just a couple more. How do we feel about Crocs, the shoes, not the animal, Crocs? Lots of thumbs down on this one. I don't know, I'm still torn. There was a time where I loved them and they've made a comeback. I used to wear them, then I stopped, and now they seem to be popular, hip with the kids, I guess. All right, how about ketchup? How do we feel about ketchup? I love ketchup on my French fries. Looks like we have mostly some thumbs up, couple thumbs down. Some people are indifferent about it. How about sandals and socks? Sandals and socks. I'm with you, Myra. Yes, I love a good sandal and sock combo, but we may be in the minority on that one. Okay, couple more. How about the dentist? The dentist. Ooh, Joy actually likes the dentist. Andrea too. Man, I'm shocked. I think I'm with everyone else. It's not my favorite place to be. All right, last one. How about sleeping with your feet outside of the covers? Ooh, I see some strong reactions to that one. Yes, I actually I enjoy it. So I'm with those of you, the few proud sleeping with their feet outside of the covers folks. Thank you for playing that game with me. I really appreciate it. I always like to start things off with just a little bit of fun before we dive into the meat of the content. I also wanted to share with you a little bit about who we are. DECA, for those of you who don't know, is a nonprofit agency that provides human services. And our goal is really to enrich and improve the quality of life for adults, for kids, for children, for families. We provide a variety of services you can see on the screen. Residential and outpatient behavioral health care, fostering support, family preservation services, traffic safety and substance misuse prevention services, which is the team that we belong to. We've been around for over 40 years and we have locations all over Kansas, Lawrence, the Kansas City area, Topeka, Wichita, Winfield, Pittsburgh, as well as an office in Oklahoma. So that's a little bit about who DECA is. But as I said, today we're representing the Prevention Services Program. So these are our objectives for today. I should preface this time that we're sharing together that I don't pretend that the information I'm sharing is the end all be all or that I know it all. Instead, what I'm going to share with you today is my approach to youth engagement work and a lot of lessons that I've learned along the way. And I'm also looking forward to learning from you all during our time together. So I'd like to kick this off with a poll. I'm going to launch that now. I'm curious about your comfort level in working with youth. So you should see a poll on your screen. How comfortable do you currently feel with engaging youth in your efforts, whatever they may be? Are you super duper comfortable? Are you kind of in the middle? Are you not comfortable at all? Where are you at? Helps me get a feel for who's in the room today. Give you about 10 more seconds to answer the poll. Okay, very good. Let's see if I can share these results. So it looks like a lot of us in the room are extremely comfortable or very comfortable engaging youth. And some of us are moderately comfortable. I love that. It seems like a very seasoned, well-experienced group. So I think that will lend itself to very fruitful conversation. Very good to know. What I want to do now is kick us off today with a poem by Javier Sanchez. He's a motivational speaker for Youth to Youth, and he was actually our keynote speaker for the Kansas Youth Community Change Conference last year. This is a poem that's new that he created, and it's really speaking to young people, and I think it sets the tone for the work we're going to be doing as adults today.
Because I don't think this generation is the future of America. I believe they are the right now of America. You need proof? Check their passion, compassion, commitment, and character. Because I don't believe young people are tomorrow's leaders. They are today's leaders. They are today's teachers. They are this generation's and the next one's reachers. I have hope for tomorrow because of what I see today, because what I see are young people striving to be and cause change for the better in new, different, and amazing ways. And yes, these are uncertain, but still can be amazing days, because through these storms, we can be the cause of amazing waves of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, and equality. Be quality. When you look in the mirror, see quality, because when I see young people, I'm astounded, because because so many young people are determined to leave people and this planet better than how they found it. So blast off. Don't let ignorance, hate, or fear keep you grounded. Stay surrounded by care for your heart, soul, and mind. Remember, a diamond can't shine without the grind. So find who you choose to be and what you choose to cause. Because when it comes to change, none of us have time to pause. But remember, don't just join a cause for the selfies, the social media likes, or the applause. Do it because it's the right thing to do. That's how true change is caused. The choice is yours. Be peace so you can cause peace. Be kind so you can cause kindness. Be thankful so you can be hopeful, so you can cause hopefulness for the hopeless. Say to yourself, I will be the change I want to see so I can cause the change I want to see, because any change that's going to be is caused by change that starts with me. And young people, let me just say this on behalf of all the adults that see in you maybe even what others don't see. We hear you and we're here for you, maybe even when others won't be. See, because in these darkest days, it's your light that is shown. It's your acceptance, resilience, and determination that has grown. And I'm convinced because of the seeds of hope and love that you have sown, that your generation can be the cause of the greatest change for the better this world has ever known. Because
Javier really has a beautiful way with words and is an absolute expert in youth engagement. So I thought sharing his words would help set the foundation for our discussion today about youth engagement. All right. So I'd like to sort of get a picture in our mind of what we mean when we say youth engagement, because it's kind of a buzz phrase, right? Or a blanket phrase that we use to encompass a lot of different things. So for the purpose of our discussion today, I want to define it for ourselves. What is youth engagement? What do we mean when we say that? What does it look like? You know, how do we know that we're doing it in a way that's effective and genuine? So I want to start by asking you all, when you hear authentic youth engagement, what comes to mind? I'd like to hear your answers in the chat. What comes to mind when you hear authentic youth engagement? Yeah. Building rapport, inclusion, love it. Empathy and understanding, giving youth a voice, beautiful.
Assessing problems and finding solutions.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Kids building
confidence, yeah. See, what I'm seeing in the chat tells me that you all are already the experts of this stuff, so that tells me we're going to have a great conversation around this. I think that youth engagement occurs when young people are involved in challenging actions that create positive change. It happens when young people are a key part of planning and making decisions that affect themselves and other people. And we often ask ourselves, how can you tell if what's happening is genuine, effective, beneficial for the youth? How do you know if it's working? Guess what? The answer is we won't. But you know who will and who can tell us if it's working? The youth, the young people that we're working with, what they can share with you. You can get a clear picture of what's working and what's not. So what types of things might you hear them express if authentic youth engagement is happening? You'll hear them share that they are respected.
I just want to
right?
see if I'm reading this right.
I'm sorry? Did somebody have a question?
I think there was someone talking in the background, Lydia.
Aha, that happens sometimes. We've all forgotten to mute ourselves or forgotten to unmute ourselves, right? That's part of the digital world we live in. No worries. So youth will express that they feel appreciated, right? Safe, comfortable. They're feeling heard and seen. They're trusted to make decisions alongside adults. They're exercising leadership skills in a meaningful way. Their ideas are valued and fully realized. They're creating change and they're making progress, and they're trusted to do that. And they're respected as experts by not only their peers and the young people that they're leading, but also the adults that they're working with as well. All right, so if you're here, I know that means you know that it's important to engage with youth. You wouldn't be here if you didn't know that. And it sounds like we have a lot of youth engagement experts in the room, but I would be remiss if I didn't point out the particular importance of engaging with youth in 2021, right? Even though data has started to come out, we don't fully yet understand the impact of COVID-19 on substance misuse and mental health because we're in the middle of it, right? But we know anecdotally that COVID-19 has increased youth's anxiety, loneliness, boredom, hopelessness, depression, sense of stability, feelings of uncertainty, right? We've heard this. This pandemic has been hard on all of us. As adults, many of us are struggling, right? Myself included. Can you imagine how it would have felt for you as a teen going through this? I look back at my teenage years and they were super glorious and super tough. And I can't fathom what it would be like to experience a global pandemic on top of everything else that teens are navigating, right? It's unprecedented, and the data is starting to show the impact that it has had on youth. And isolation in particular is really damaging to youth. There's a biological basis for young people's need for socialization, right? Bonding isn't a luxury from a scientific standpoint. It's critical for their development. They need that social connection in order to feel secure about their identity and their place in the world. So that factor of isolation that youth and all of us have endured is particularly damaging for the youth. Here's what else we know. The experience of COVID-19 is a traumatic event, right, for many people, including youth. And individuals who experience trauma face greater risk of developing substance misuse problems. Substance misuse can also increase the risk of suicide, intimate partner violence, as well as chronic health conditions, right? We know this based on prevention science. So by engaging in substance misuse prevention, and particularly engaging young people in those efforts, we can contribute to an effective twofold response to both the short and long-term impacts of COVID-19. When we provide opportunities for engagement for young people, they're better able to cope with the circumstances that we're all living in, and they are making an impact in the prevention of substance misuse and by extension, the prevention of addiction. So youth engagement is important always, and it's never been more important than in this moment and moving forward because of the world that we're living in. So from a community coalition perspective, youth are one of the 12 core key community sectors to involve in substance misuse prevention work. As most of us know, community sectors are the groups of people in the larger community, groups that people might be divided into for various reasons, social reasons, political reasons, economic reasons, cultural or religious reasons, for example. Having representation from the sectors involved in coalition work, make sure that folks from a wide variety of the community's population are represented and have input in the work that you're doing. Their representation, their input in the planning efforts that take place makes them so much more effective, right? We've all heard that phrase, nothing about us without us, particularly when it comes to youth engagement work. You've got to involve the people you want to positively impact in the discussion from the very beginning, and that includes youth. Youth provide a unique perspective, insights into local substance misuse issues, right? They're the experts. If we want to prevent youth substance misuse in our communities, they have to be a key part of the conversation from the very beginning. So I don't have to tell you that there are a multitude of benefits to youth engagement, youth empowerment done right for both the youth involved and for the coalition. When you engage with youth in an authentic way, you're offering an opportunity for the development of a wide array of life skills. Leadership, service, advocacy, public speaking. You're also offering the opportunity for increased confidence and self-esteem, positive opportunities to belong, which, as we know, is a huge, huge protective factor against substance misuse and mental health conditions. And then when you engage youth in your coalition efforts, it has tremendous benefits for the coalition as well. There's an increase in ownership and buy-in from the youth, which will strengthen your coalition in its efforts. You'll be able to draw upon the skills and experiences unique to the youth population. And then in turn, you're going to be able to develop more effective strategies that impact that youth population. So authentic youth engagement with your coalition is going to result in your coalition having a higher capacity, more effective strategies, which lead to improved outcomes and increased sustainability of your efforts. But I don't have to tell you, youth engagement isn't always easy. At times I've struggled a lot, especially during COVID-19, with how to keep our efforts going when there are so many other pressing issues at hand for youth. Roadblocks are inevitable, even during the best of times. I've listed some common barriers we face during youth engagement. Communication, scheduling, right? It can feel impossible to get a group of youth together because they are so involved and invested in other endeavors. Lack of experience can be a barrier. Boredom, sometimes adult meetings and adult events are boring for youth. Logistics like transportation can be a barrier, or lack of transportation. Internet, reliable internet can be a barrier in these times. The same youth, you're reaching the same youth over and over, not tapping into new pockets of youth. That can be a barrier. From the teens' perspective, our DCYPB teens have said that one of the biggest barriers for them is closed-mindedness from adults. They share that sometimes adults feel like they think they know how they feel even when times have changed and we're not the teens anymore. So sometimes barriers can feel insurmountable. So what I'd like to offer you are some creative ways to troubleshoot some of those barriers and make progress on your efforts. So I want to share with you my creation. As I mentioned, this isn't the end-all be-all, the only approach to youth engagement. Instead, I'd like you to think of it as a set of flashcards that you can use to help inform your youth engagement efforts. It's the tools that I use, and I'm offering them to you to use what you need and pass on what feels useful and toss away the rest. So I like to approach youth engagement through sort of 5 different facets. You'll notice as we go that these steps aren't linear. There's a lot of crossover, and when within each step, other steps exist, but I wanted to break it down as best I could to define 5 concrete ways that I personally like to approach youth engagement. So first, we got to assess. We got to get real with where we're at as individuals and organizations with our youth engagement efforts, because before we can get serious about doing it in a way that's authentic and effective, we have to understand where we're at. Then we got to recruit, right? We got to get out there and pound the pavement to connect with youth who are interested in this work. Then we got to engage. We got to meet the youth where they're at and then get out of their way so they can do the great work that they're capable of doing. And then after that, we need to celebrate. We got to recognize and celebrate youth in a way that's meaningful to them. And then we start it all over again. We got to continue to cultivate. We got to figure out how to keep the momentum going, even as folks come and go, stop and start, go MIA for 4 meetings and reappear, graduate, move on, get distracted, lose interest, become a champion for the work, all of these things. And then through it all, we need to practice cultural humility and think about how we're going to continue to sustain our youth engagement efforts in a way that's, you guessed it, authentic and effective. So let's dive into these. Many of you have probably seen this before. There was a sociologist, Roger Hart. He wrote a book called Children's Participation, the Theory and Practice of Involving Young Citizens in Community Development and environmental care for UNICEF in 1997. In the book, he offered this ladder, the ladder of young people's participation, showing the forms of youth engagement from non-participation all the way to youth-initiated shared decision making with adults, sort of as the gold standard. The tool has been adapted and used countless times over the last 24 years. Yes, you heard me right. It's been 24 years since 1997. What the heck is up with that? And it's used frequently as sort of a teaching tool when having discussions about authentic youth engagement. So I'm curious, I'd like to do a poll here. When it comes to your youth engagement efforts, which rung are you all standing on? So you should see a poll on your screen. Which rung are your youth engagement efforts on? Give you another 5 seconds or so. Lots of movement happening on the poll. Excellent. All right. So as you can see here, with the folks in the room, we're on a wide variety of rungs, right? The most popular choice being rung 4 and 5, young people assigned and informed, or young people consulted and informed. Very helpful. The goal is to get to the top, right? On this ladder of participation, but very rarely can we start there. Many of us aren't there yet, including the groups that I work with, groups of youth, and it can take a long time to get there, and that's totally okay. But we got to get real with where we're at. As a community group, as a coalition, we got to sit down and ask ourselves what our youth engagement has looked like and where we want to be. Do we even have youth at the table? For some of us, the answer may be no. Are we calling on them just for speaking engagements and testimonials without really investing anything in return? Are we involving them in every step of the process, from assessment to planning, implementation, evaluation, or are we just consulting them when we need them? Are we meeting them where they're at, and are we investing sufficient time and resources in our youth engagement? Is that part of the long-term plan? We have to assess our capacity for providing quality youth engagement and define what that means for our coalitions in order to create a space that's welcoming to youth. There are lots of tools out there that can help you do this. And I recommend, if you do have youth involved in any capacity already, that you involve them in this assessment and encourage their honesty, because that's the only way we can grow in the work. So if you do have youth involved in your coalition efforts, make sure they're involved in this conversation as well. This is a tool that I use. I find it to be pretty effective, but like I said, there's a lot of free tools out there that you can use. But assessing where we're at with our youth engagement efforts allows us the opportunity to, 1, make it a priority, right? And 2, develop a clear purpose and plan for improving our efforts. Okay. So once we know where we're at, we can figure out where to go, right? So the next step is to identify who the heck is missing from our table. And then we got to go out and meet them where they're at. And I got to tell you, if you want to know what works for your community to recruit young people, you've got to ask young people. They're the experts, and that information is always going to be changing depending on the times, right? So the best way to stay on top of how to effectively recruit young people is to ask the experts, ask the young people. One of the things that we do in DCYPB is we host biannual Bring a Friend meetings. So at our monthly meetings, once in January and once in May, we challenge the current members to bring one friend with them, and we spend 20 minutes at the top of the meeting providing an overview of DCYPB and allowing the current members to share why they're involved, what their favorite project is, what they love about DCYPB, that kind of thing. And we found that to be an effective tool for recruiting youth. Some additional ways that you could reach youth: partner with people or organizations that are already working with young people. YMCAs, Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, programs happening in school, other community organizations who are serving youth specific to your community, because every community looks different, right? Also, a huge part of recruiting youth is meeting them where they're at and creating a space that's inclusive of their culture. Think about the location of your meetings. Is it accessible to youth? Are they going to feel comfortable there? Think about the space. Is it inviting, or is it formal and stuffy? When are you asking them to meet? Is it 10 a.m. on a Tuesday? Is that going to work for most youth? Probably not. Evening and weekends might be a good start, but again, it's important to seek their feedback in order to best determine what they're most comfortable with. And then think about how you communicate with youth. How are we reaching out to them? Is it in a way that's relevant and accessible? Are we offering channels of communication they feel comfortable with? If we're inviting them to our adult coalition meetings, will the culture and the content of the meeting be inclusive and accessible to youth, right? Every element of every interaction needs to be considered, no matter how trivial it might seem, because when we're intentional about making them feel like an equal partner in the space, they're going to feel that. And then another way to reach youth is to incentivize. Dina, do you have a question?
There's a comment in the chat. We are struggling to get students to do anything, talk to college recruiters, learn about careers, be in a group, apply for scholarships, anything.
Aha. Thank you so much for sharing that comment. And I want to put a pin in that because we're going to have time towards the end of the training to have a discussion about the challenges that we're all facing right now. And that's a very real concern and a very real challenge. I'm with you. It's tough right now, particularly in this moment in time. So I wonder if maybe we can do some problem solving together towards the end of our time together. Thank you for sharing that. This might be helpful. The next tip is incentivizing. I always have to ask myself, what's in it for them? What do they stand to gain? What are they going to get out of this by engaging in the way we're asking them to? And then once I figure that out, I shout it from the rooftops, right? That can be anything from naming the skills and opportunities they're going to receive, from participating all the way to the swag they're going to get. In DCYPB, we do competitions to increase engagement. We do prizes for participation, snacks when they're in person. I saw Johnny post in the chat, pizza, huge incentive. We all know that. For last year's Kansas Youth Community Change Conference, we offered prize packs depending on the number of sessions they attended for the conference. So there are lots of ways to get them through the door. And then you want to also make sure that the content is what keeps them there. Right? Okay, so now you've got their attention. So it's time to do the work, right? How do you engage and empower youth? Well, that will look very different depending upon the communities that you're in and the work that you're doing and the youth that show up. So I can't give you a specific roadmap from start to finish of what this looks like by any means, but I can offer a few lessons learned to support your journey, so to speak. So it's important to seek their feedback early and often. I've said it a million times throughout the training, and be receptive to their input, but don't gather their feedback for no reason. If you're going to seek their feedback, make sure you put it to use. It's also important to be invested. You want to create healthy bonds and relationships with the youth. Show them that you care. My science teacher in high school said, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. I know we've all heard that before, but that was something that really stuck with me as a young person. One of our DCYPB youth recently said that sometimes encouragement is all they need from adults. Teens want to know that what they're doing is making a difference. So take a personal interest in them, not only as coalition members, but also as people. Another important element to consider is allowing them to build their capacity, right? We want to nurture their individual interests and aptitudes. We want to enhance their access to trainings and opportunities, both as a youth group and individually. We want to provide them with challenges that will allow them to build those skills. And then provide them in turn with opportunities to practice leadership, build those skills through trainings, and then offer them those opportunities for advocacy and public speaking, as well as opportunities for professional development and growth as they continue to build their capacity. Event planning, public speaking, leading and working in teams, collecting data, all of those pieces that are happening already in your coalition, connect the youth to that work and help them build their capacity to participate in those projects. And then, of course, reward and acknowledge their contributions, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. And all of that should be wrapped in a bubble of fun. I'm also a Sources of Strength suicide prevention trainer. And one of the coolest parts of their model that I've taken away is that meetings are one part sharing, one part planning, and one part fun. The fun is actually building their capacity as well. You know, social gatherings build relationships, interactive activities build their confidence and their knowledge in substance misuse prevention. And those interpersonal activities build trust amongst the group. So even the fun parts are actually really, really building their capacity to be young leaders. So it's critical for us to acknowledge and celebrate the tremendous work that these young people are doing with us and within their communities and within their lives. Our DCYPB youth have said it makes a huge difference when adults take time to personally congratulate them or do things that make them feel special. One of the things I learned during my time as a member of the Kansas Association for Youth in high school, something I still carry with me today, is don't underestimate the power of gratitude, right? People like to be thanked. They like to be appreciated. They like to be recognized. And gratitude can come in many, many forms. They could be thank you notes or I'm proud of you notes. Acknowledgement at coalition meetings, awards, scholarships or internships if you have that capacity, articles in your local newsletter or newspaper, sponsorship to leadership conferences, prizes, shout outs on social media. Gratitude and celebration can be a huge motivator for youth to continue on with the powerful work that they're doing. And as many of us know, how somebody likes to be celebrated is as unique to them as their fingerprint, right? So again, provide that opportunity for them to share with you what motivates them, how they like to be recognized and what keeps them coming back. And once you get that feedback, you got to follow through, right?
Lydia, we have a question in the chat box.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody is loving your slide presentation. And Lori Martin asked if we would be able to share the slides with them.
Oh, heck yes. I'd be happy to do that. Yeah. I'll get those to Dina so she can get them sent out. And actually, with that, I'd like to hear in the chat, what are some ways that you all maybe have celebrated or acknowledged youth that you found to be effective? I'd love to hear what's worked for your community group. And then we have cultivate. This is that sustainability piece, right? When we successfully engage and empower youth, they're often going to stick around. But as we know, youth are busy. We're competing with a lot of other things that they have on their plate, a lot of interests that they have. They're figuring out their identity, their place in the world. That's why a key part of cultivation is ongoing recruitment, ongoing capacity building, and utilizing your youth champions as ambassadors for connecting with other youth. So every event, every presentation, every time you're in front of the community, that's an opportunity to connect with more youth and potentially form a partnership there. So use those events as a recruiting tool, as a way to sustain your youth engagement. Another element, which we talked about briefly before, is to provide young people with meaningful roles as they grow, as they build their capacity, and as they're able to take on more. We can connect them to additional organizations and opportunities as they continue to develop and enhance their skills. And again, having open lines of communication and mentoring that growth will allow those youth champions to continue their metamorphosis, their growth. And then certainly we want to evaluate our efforts with youth to determine what was successful, what could be improved, how do we keep forward progress happening, how can we do this better? And be sure to share success stories with the community at large to continue to build that buy-in and that interest from young people. So cultural humility is an incredibly important part of substance misuse prevention work, as well as youth engagement, because youth do have their own culture, right? And that's not to say all youth fall under a specific culture, but youth do have youth culture. To me, approaching youth engagement with cultural humility means we're committed to evaluating ourselves to determine our own implicit biases and any negative perceptions we have about young people. It means we're committed to fixing power imbalances between adult and youth populations. That's not to say we don't provide guidance, support, mentorship, training, all of those things, all the tools they need to be successful. But it's important for us to reframe how we think about the impact that youth can have on the work that we're doing, and that we view them as equal partners in that work. And it means we're approaching youth engagement with a willingness to learn from the youth. We're curious about their culture, their values, their beliefs, what motivates them, all of those components. We asked DCYPB youth, how do you know that an adult really cares? And their answer was pretty simple. They show respect and honesty, and they listen. That curiosity, that willingness to learn from them is a core foundation of successful youth engagement, as well as a core component of cultural humility. All right, so I want to throw up one more poll here. How do you feel virtual engagement with youth during COVID-19 has gone for you? This has been quite a roller coaster that we're on, right? And we're not off yet. So how has it gone so far? Give me another 5 seconds or so. All right. The truth is in the poll, right? Nobody has said it rocked. There's been a lot of good, bad, and ugly. I like that. Nothing's perfect. Some folks have said it's been okay. Not quite sure how to gauge how it's been. Hasn't been great, or it's been horrible. So kind of all over the map here. I'm with you. It's not easy, and we're not through it yet. I was on a training earlier this week, actually, with Sources of Strength, and their facilitators do a great job of engaging folks virtually. And one of the facilitators said, these are unprecedented times. We'd rather be in person. We've heard both of those things a million times, right? That goes without saying. So stop apologizing for being online. And that really struck me. I thought that was really powerful. Come to every meeting expecting connection. We want to provide opportunities for caring and meaningful relationships with peers and adults. And so it's important to make space for this in the virtual setting with, team building, icebreakers, breakout sessions with small groups. It's not just about having cameras on, as we know, right? It's about authentic connection. That's another thing that facilitator said. And I really resonated with that. We want to be able to give them the chance to engage and make decisions in a meaningful way. And that looks a little different virtually, but we can do it, right? Polls, breakout room discussions, whiteboard voting, and more. We have to use our creativity to rethink how we do the why. I've listed a few brief examples, but that's just a starting point. The sky is the limit. So if we reframe how we think about virtual engagement, and we come to every meeting expecting connection, that can change the way we do this, right? Young people learn best when they're engaged with their heads and their hearts, and when they have a real choice in the situations in which they are involved. And so I think you will notice if we reframe how we view virtual interaction as adults, the youth will follow suit. Okay, so it's your turn to share. I told you we would have some time to spend together to talk through what the challenges and bright spots have been in our own youth engagement efforts. So we're going to do some breakout rooms. Dina's going to send you here in a minute. I'd say maybe about 10 minutes, Dina, and have you all be able to spend some time talking with one another. What have been your biggest obstacles? What creative actions have you taken during this time that have been effective? Who have been your biggest allies during this time? These questions are just a starting point. This is just a time and a space for you to be able to learn from one another. I'd love for one person to sort of take notes and then provide maybe one or two aha moments that came up in your group to share in the chat when you get back. So we'll give you about 10 minutes.
Hey, Lydia.
Yeah.
This is Mike. How many rooms do you want, or how many in each room?
Oh, I'd say 4 or 5 folks in each room.
You got it.
Are there any questions before we zip you away?
You said 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. Where we started and where we end today is just the beginning of an ongoing conversation for how to do this work effectively. So I'm going to be putting in the chat a link to our DECA Youth Prevention Team Guide. That's the digital version. I'm also going to put out a form if you want to receive a physical copy of that youth guide. It has a million different things in it: activities, ways to get a youth prevention team going, resources, you name it, it's got it in there. And we'd be happy to send you out free copies, physical copies of that as well. So I'm going to put that in the chat. Also coming up, Prevention Works, the Kansas Prevention Collaborative's Prevention Works on April 15th is going to be focusing on youth engagement. So there's an additional opportunity to engage with other like-minded folks and learn more. I also want to shamelessly promote a webinar coming up next Tuesday from 9:30 to 10:30, engaging youth in your community. I'm going to be on a panel. I'll be joined by some other awesome youth engagement folks, Gabriela Hernandez from WSU and Jordan Roberts for KDHE. We're going to be talking about tips and tricks and lessons learned. So feel free to join us there. And then I also wanted to point you all to an online course that's available through the PTTC, working with youth prevention leaders virtually. It's a self-paced course. There are 3 modules, and then there's going to be a live session coming up here sometime in March. So that's just another opportunity for you to continue engaging in these efforts. So I'm posting all of that information in the chat now. Information overload is happening. And then I wanted to provide you with my contact information so we can continue this discussion. I know there's not a ton of time left for questions, and I apologize for that, but I'm happy to connect with you one-on-one, talk shop, learn from you, ask you questions, and you know, grow together. So thank you all for your time today. I appreciate it, and I will take questions now if anybody has any.
Also, Lydia, I would like to add that in the chat is the survey, the evaluation for this training. Please, we want your feedback so that we can make our training better and know what we're doing right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dina. And thanks to Dina and Mike today again for working behind the scenes to make all the moving parts go. We couldn't do these webinars, these trainings, these gatherings without the 2 of you. So thank you so much. And thanks everybody for being here with us today. Hope to continue to see you in the future as we work on this exciting endeavor that is youth engagement. Thank you everybody for your time today. Have a good day.
How do I know which one is the survey?
The survey was the last one that was put in there. I'll put it in there again for you. That way it'll be the very last one. There you go.